Hi, welcome to the Community of Caring, Mindfulness and Emotional Wellness, and I'm Julie Katowski. Today we're going to be talking about self-compassion, why it's important to practice self-compassion, and a little activity that you could do that will help you practice self-compassion. So if you would and you're willing, let's get started with some breath work. So I would ask you to sit comfortably in a chair, or you could stand if you prefer. And you'd want to put, if you're comfortable, your feet on the ground to really be connected with the room and kind of sit back in a comfortable yet reasonable posture. And if you're willing, close your eyes and we're going to do some breath work. What we'll do is I'll count for 3 in, and if you would breathe in through your nose, and then I'll count to 2, and if you would hold the breath, and then I'll count to 4 if you would release the breath through your mouth. So it's inhale through your nose for a count of 3, hold for a count of 2, and out through your mouth for a count of 4 if you're willing. As we're doing the breath work, please understand that we will have thoughts that pop into your head, and that's okay. Our minds make thoughts, but during the breath work and when you're practicing mindfulness activities, if a thought comes in, I kind of imagine it as a butterfly and I let it kind of float in. And then what I do is a thought, notice it, try not to judge it, and let it float back out of my mind. So let's get started with the breath work, and we'll do 3 of the breaths that I talked about. So again, breathe in through your nose for a count of 3. And while you're doing that, if you want to visualize light and love, positivity entering your body, I'm going to count to 2 as you hold the breath. And what you can imagine is that light, the love, the positivity, the positive thoughts and vibes coming into your body, and hold that close to your heart. And then exhale out your mouth for a count of 4. And if you want, you can visualize stress, anxiety, depression, negativity leaving your body. So let's get started. If you're not comfortable closing your eyes, that's okay. You can look at the floor above you about 3 or 4 feet and with a softened gaze. So we're going to go in, 2, 3, hold, 2, out, 2, 3, 4. In, 2, 3, hold, 2, out, 2, 3, 4. Next one. In, 2, 3, hold, 2, out, 2, 3, 4. So thank you for participating in the breathing exercise. And I'd like to start with a quote by the world's leading researcher on self-compassion. Her name is Kristen Neff. Self-compassion involves responding in the same supportive, understanding way you would with a good friend when you have a difficult time, fail, or notice something that you don't like about yourself. Instead of just ignoring the pain with a stiff upper lip mentality, stop to tell yourself, "This is really difficult right now. How can I comfort and care for myself in this moment?" Instead of mercilessly judging and criticizing yourself for various inadequacies or shortcomings, self-compassion means you are kind and understanding when confronted with personal failings. After all, whoever said you were supposed to be perfect? None of us are. You may try to change in ways that allow you to be more healthy and happy, but this is done because you care about yourself, not because you are worthless or unacceptable as you are. Perhaps most importantly, having compassion for yourself means that you honor and accept your humanness. Things will not always go the way you want them to. You will encounter frustrations, losses will occur. You will make mistakes, bump up against your limitations, fall short of your ideals. This is the human condition, a reality shared by all of us. The more you open your heart to this reality, instead of constantly fighting against it, the more you will be able to feel compassion for yourself and all of your fellow humans in this experience of life. Like Kristen Neff says, I have found the best self-compassion exercise is to start by imagining But a good friend or a small child who is in your exact situation, looking at them, how would you show up for them? What would you say to them? So I'd like you just to take a minute and think about a time in the last bit where you felt that you didn't live up to your own ideals, or you fell short, or you felt harsh and critical about yourself or something you have done. So I'm just going to give you a minute to think about that. And really try to bring that into your mind. The last time, or a time you can think about that you had fell short of your ideals. And really try to bring yourself back to that moment. You can close your eyes if you wish, if that helps you really get back into that situation. And so, when you have that situation in your mind, I really want you to think about if it was a loved family member, a close friend who had that same situation, who felt short in that same way, what would you say to them? How would you show them that you still love and care about them, regardless of the way that they fell short? How might you communicate your understanding of what they're going through? And what could you do, or what would you do to make sure that the person felt supported and cared about? I'll give you an example um, of a recent, it was this morning. I have two dogs. One is 2 years old, and the other one just turned a year. And the one who just turned a year is very much a puppy, and she essentially she eats two toys a day. Apparently, she's very angry at the fluff inside the stuffed animals, and so she rips the stuffed animal apart. Normally, before I go to bed, I sweep up the living room, which has the fluff all over it, and then I go to bed. Last night, I just didn't feel like it. I just didn't have it in me. I was focused on doing other things. And when I woke up this morning and I walked into the living room, there's fluff and residue of the dog toys that she has ripped apart all over the living room, trailing into the dining room. And I really prefer to keep a very neat house. So I walked in and I saw it, and my first thought was, you should have just done it last night. The place looks like a wreck. And then I started getting caught a little bit into that negativity spiral. That whole, you know what, you should have done it, you didn't do it, you were being lazy. And I just took a step back and I took a deep breath and I took another deep breath. And then I thought, dude, you're doing the best you can do. We're in the middle of a pandemic. You're taking care of two dogs, which are pretty high maintenance. The weather's turned and it's cold, and you don't like cold weather. You don't like to go outside. You don't like to really exercise or walk, but you do it every day, at least once or twice a day, to take care of the dogs. It's not a big deal that there's fluff in the living room. It doesn't mean you're a bad person or you're lazy. It just means you didn't sweep last night. It's not life shattering. It's not life changing. You just didn't sweep. Do it when you have a few minutes today. It's okay. And that is how you can practice self-compassion. Instead of forcing myself and rushing through my morning activities and the things I do to get ready for work in the morning to make sure I could have time to sweep that fluff up. Dude, it's not a big deal. I'm going to sweep it up in a few minutes when I'm done with this. It wasn't life-changing. Nobody died. Nobody got hurt. There's fluff on the living room floor. It's okay. So that's how you can practice self-compassion. And again, I think it's easy when you start with something small like that and then move it for when you make the bigger missteps. If you're practicing with the small stuff and you make a bigger misstep, you're better able to use self-compassion with that. So what I would like you to do is really think about that incident where you fell short. And I want you to imagine and say to yourself what you would say to a trusted friend about the same situation. And just take a few minutes to really think about what you would say and say it in your head. Just say it in your mind. It's okay. And this is how we practice self compassion. Again, when you're working on practicing self compassion, you may have a thought that pops in like, oh, you always do this. Try to use our mindfulness trick that we notice the thought, a thought, and we don't judge it, and we just let it come and go. So if when you're practicing self-compassion, you have a thought that isn't helpful for you, notice it and just let it go like a butterfly. And like I said, mindfulness is an activity that's best practiced throughout the day, and to continue to add on the different mindfulness activities and the amount of time you're spending in the present moment every day. And so I shared with you that I walk the dogs every morning before I get ready for my day. And I had been listening to music, and I decided this week to do something a little bit different. And I'm not listening to music. I'm being as mindful as I can be during the walk, feeling the cold air. I got to get new gloves. See, there's a thought that my mind came. It's okay. Feeling the cold air on my face, feeling the cold air through my nose and the warmer air coming out my mouth when I exhale. Listening to the dogs little on the asphalt or the concrete. Listening to the wildlife. There's birds. There's different kind of birds where I walk my dogs. I'm fortunate that I'm right near a bike path. And so really paying attention to all that and noticing the things around me. All the trees have lost their leaves. So that looks beautiful. This morning when I went out, there was just a, I don't even know if you could call it snow on the grass. And it just looked beautiful and peaceful. And so that's another way to add mindfulness into your day. The next time you take a shower or a bath, be really present. A lot of times what we do is make our list, our itinerary for the day, our to-do list. But just take a few minutes if you're interested in really being present and practicing your ability to be present in the moment, to really experience the shower or the bath. How does the water feel? Is it hot? Is it cold? What does this water sound like coming out of either the faucet or the shower head? How does the soap you're using or the lotion smell? How does it smell? Take a deep breath, really pay attention. How does it feel on your skin when you're washing, and whether you use a washcloth, a loofah, a sponge, or just the bar soap, how does that feel? And when you're having that experience, thoughts will come in. Oh, I got to do this. Oh, I got to do that. That's okay. Thought, aha, notice, let it go. So what I'm going to ask if you'd be willing to do is to think about how you could spend just another minute or two in the present moment throughout your day, being mindful of what's going on and not focused and anxious about the future, not feeling bad, sad, depressed about what happened in the past 5 minutes ago, 5 years ago, 50 years ago, but just being present in the current moment. So hopefully that will be helpful. And also please try to practice some self-compassion because life is hard enough without our beating ourselves up. And so hopefully you found today's activity helpful. And when you connected with the feelings of compassion for yourself, you're better able to be compassionate towards others. And if we were all a bit more compassionate to each other, the world would be a much, much, much kinder and pleasant place. So let's just do a breathing activity to close today's mindfulness and emotional wellness. And so what we'll do is I just want you to sit back if you're willing, get comfortable, close your eyes if you're willing, and just focus on your breath. You don't have to try to control it. It doesn't have to be in a certain number of counts and out for a certain number of counts. Just sit back, focus on your breath. And what we'll do is we'll do that for 1 minute. I'll set us a timer. 1 second, please. And so when you're ready, sit back, close your eyes if you will, and if you're not comfortable, that's okay. Just if you're willing, do a softened gaze. Again, during this activity, what will happen is a thought will come in. It's okay, let the thought come and go. And then move back and focus on your breath again. So that was a minute of just focusing on your breath, and hopefully you found it relaxing and allows you to be more present in today's moment. When you're ready, you can flutter open your eyes, kind of your fingers a little bit to come back to the present moment and present day. Thank you for joining me, and hopefully we'll see you again. Stay well.